Hey guys, this is Amanda from the Buena Vida, and today we're going to be talking about holding space. All right, so holding space, what does that mean, to hold space? When I was kind of first getting into this world, I would hear people use this term, and to me, I never quite knew what it meant. I thought maybe it meant holding an emotional space, like kind of using your energy to make someone feel comfortable. Maybe it meant just being entirely silent and letting someone talk and saying nothing. I really wasn't sure what that meant. So while there are various traditions and different groups of people that would define holding space differently, quite simply, it's to provide a gentle, loving, non-judgmental space for someone to work something out. So let's think about all the different ways that we either hold space or that we don't hold space. All right, so usually when we are having a conversation with someone generally close to us, this happens a lot more, our brains can go immediately into judgment. So it's kind of the way our brains work, right? Someone tells you, oh, I'm having a hard time at work. Our brains go immediately into categorization, judgment, what do we think, what have they said about this person, and we just really quickly can go on the defensive to anything that person is saying. So when you're holding space for someone, first of all, it's very intentional. So we intentionally can tell ourselves, and it starts in our brain, in our own head, and say, you know what, just for right now, I don't need to judge this. I don't need to categorize what this person is saying, and I don't need to fix it. That's the first way that we can do that. Secondly, after our brains, when we're in a conversation, many of us who are either helpers or caregivers or fancy ourselves to be intelligent or smart, we want to immediately make that person feel better. Now, where this goes wrong is that occasionally for us, ourselves, making someone feel better might mean solving their problem immediately. It might mean saying everything's fine, nothing is wrong, nothing is wrong, nothing is wrong. It might mean bringing up stuff from the past and saying like, well, this happens to you a lot and you're repeating the same pattern. All of these things are not holding space. It's using ourselves and making us feel comfortable and not making the other person feel comfortable. So what we're gonna do is, those are some really common ones and some ways that in our lives that we can feel kind of the opposite of holding space is, for instance, when we talk to people who make snap judgments, when we talk to people who are just clearly not even listening to us and they're on their phone or their eyes are darting other places, and you just know that you could be talking about your problem 1 minute and the next minute say like, hey, I just won $6 million, and they wouldn't hear any of it. It wouldn't make any difference. So it's very easy and clear to notice when people are not holding space. I think that happens, unfortunately, very often. But in the next segment, we're going to talk about what are some ways that you can practice holding space for other people. Guys, so now that we've kind of thought about, maybe had some thoughts about the ways that we make snap judgments or that we go into fix-it mode or immediately with other people and even ourselves, these are 6 ways that you can practice holding space for someone else while you listen to them. Number 1. The number 1 way you can hold space is to let someone use their own wisdom. So this is a way to just say, I trust you that you are working something out. I trust you to use your own wisdom and your own judgment without me jumping in immediately to use my wisdom, my perceptions, my judgments on your situation. The number 2 way that we can hold space is, as we're listening to someone, we can only make a point to give small pieces of information or help. Just when it's really called for, if someone leaves a space open for us to fill in, but just really small pieces of information that might be helpful without, again, focusing on ourselves and focusing on solving. Just little things that come up naturally are a really great way to just drop them into the conversation. The number 3 way that we can hold space for someone is that we don't take their power away to make a decision for themselves. So when we try to make a decision for someone else based on the information they've given us, not only is that completely through our own lens and our own perception and our own everything, but it really takes the power away from them to say, what do you want to decide? How are these things coming up making you feel? So don't take the power away from someone of making their own decision and working through something themselves. You're just holding the space for them to use their own wisdom and make that decision for themselves. All right, the number 4 way that we can hold space is to to not let our ego get involved at all. So of course our ego wants to make everything about ourselves. That's what it does. And when our ego gets involved in a conversation of depth, when we're trying to hold space, it can say to us, the success of their decision reflects on me. And everything that I say, if they follow it, it reflects on me. So all of a sudden, you think you're holding space for someone, and really your ego is telling you that whatever they decide and whatever knowledge they use reflects back to you. So if we can just get that guy out of here for a minute, know that anything we either say or don't say does not reflect on us, that's the way to do it. Okay. Number 6, the final way that we can practice holding space is to allow that person to make a different decision than us. Maybe they're not going to make the decision that you thought was best, or the decision that you even had experience with. Perhaps it was something that you completely disagree with. But again, by giving someone back their power and allowing them to make their own decisions, they may be making a decision that you can't see the final result. It may seem completely wrong to you, and then a week later, a year later, 2 years later, that was where they were in their path, and that was the decision they needed to make at that point. So just allow people to make their own choices, and this is where holding space of non-judgment comes in really, really handy. Thank you guys so much for listening today. I hope that we can all practice holding space, not only for other people, but also for ourselves, as we gently and lovingly, without any judgment, listen to things that come up naturally, provide a safe space for us to heal and to work through all of the decisions that we have to make in our lives. Again, this is Amanda with the Buena Vida, and I thank you very much for listening today. Bye.